2 days, maybe swap some decks.
Mhm.
And now we're going to see what Darkwonyx and RDU spent the past 24 hours preparing for. We're going to start off. I see Leroy Mortal Coil, which does imply that it's a handlock for
Unlock.
RDU.
Yeah.
And
Against Miracle.
Darkwonyx, he's going to be playing the Miracle Rogue.
All right, so this should be a favorable matchup for RDU. But yesterday, I believe we saw two Miracle Rogues beat handlocks. So I'm not I'm not sure the counters are working out the way they should be working out for this tournament so far.
Yep. It's the percentages. Even though it might win only 1 out of every 4 games, or in the extreme cases, 1 out of every like 5 or 6, it still happens from time to time. So you got to trust it, even though it might be pretty bad. It sometimes does. The
Mhm.
handlock versus the hunter yesterday, we saw it. The
Yep.
handlock somehow pulled a win despite the hunter having a more than a big percentage to win. So
Yep.
Dark Wanix, he might feel like, oh gosh, it's a handlock, but he is on the coin. And if he can use up these cards like his SI7s and backstabs
Mhm.
to keep his opponent at bay while RDU doesn't draw well, maybe he can steal the game.
Yeah, and even foulness here actually helps quite a bit for Darkwonyx. Can remove a giant with things like backstab and even eviscerate. So it's kind of nice that he has that in his hand too.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
RDU's got that Twilight Drake, no taunt yet. So he'll probably just continually tap all the way up until the Twilight Drake here.
Yeah, I would have to imagine so. The Drake is just so annoying for Rogue to deal with. It kills everything inside the arsenal other than a huge Van Cleef. And not only that, but it feels like if you can't deal with it early on as a Rogue player, you're bound to sap it inevitably, which kind of indirectly gives it taunt. And then just makes it like, another 2 big threats on top of the 4 giants that are usually in the deck.
Yeah. So Darkwonyx here trying to decide whether he wants to throw something out at this point, just to have something to maybe crash into the Twilight Drakes or the Giants, whichever comes out, just to help him with removing it.
Yeah, with the Thalnos, it's kind of like, well, do I keep some things like Shiv that might give that extra spell power out? And I think tossing out this Thalnos is also pretty clever because
Mhm.
the idea is if he Mortal Coils, well, he's not going to be dropping a four cost minion, whether it's a Mountain Giant reduced by the hand size or a Twilight Drake. So
Right.
he's going to try to take this opportunity to use the mana efficiently, save the Shiv in case he needs it to remove.
Okay, so now RDU is trying to decide if this is the proper moment for the Twilight Drake. What do you
Yeah,
think? What do
that's
you think?
all.
What do you think about throwing it out right now?
Well, I mean, this
Says
is
a coin.
where it's like, yeah, the spell power represents too much. The
Yeah.
backstab eviscerate, it's
Hmm.
8 damage plus the 3 damage on the weapon with the deadly poison. That Drake would die essentially for nothing for 4 damage. And sure, it absorbs a lot of spell power, but at the same time, you're doing the rogue a favor by letting them uh, get what they want.
Yeah. All right. So RDU, he's kind of in that weird spot where you have 9 cards, still have all your mana, and you have to play a card or else you'll be potentially burning a card. Well, you can't tap at least, or else you'll be burning a card there. So he goes ahead and plays the Big Game Hunter. There's not many targets except for Edwin in this matchup that Big Game Hunter can get full value for.
Yep, and you do have ways to call audibles with Siphon Souls if
Hmm.
it gets too crazy. So normally when people toss out a BGH, a lot of players roll their eyes because they're like, well, I can probably play the biggest Van Cleef ever, especially against things like Druid if they don't have Keepers of the Grove. But
Yeah.
in this scenario, I think I'm okay with it just because he does have Siphon Soul in hand. If things get crazy, you also have a way to use like Shadow Flame if it's like an 8/8 or something. You have a giant to get you out of there.
Yeah, so a lot of times in these matchups at the highest of levels, the pros they don't open up with that typical Twilight Drake turn 4 or Giant, especially in this matchup because they want to get the Rogue to burn some of their backstabs and their eviscerates and those type of spells into these other minions before they lead with the bigger minions, and that's kind of what we're seeing right here. Dark Warriors is trying to figure out whether he wants to get the SI agent out here, use the coin, as well as a Shiv too. Okay, he's just gonna go with the Shiv.
Yep.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
thought
he
I thought
has
you
the
chose the
option
coin.
to use
Okay,
the
there's a coin.
SI7.
There's a
You
coin
don't
too.
want to take as much damage as possible. We've seen it even just in the numerical Millennium House Cup. The burst of Handlock is still extremely potent.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
really
yeah.
powerful link face. Don't put yourself even within the 20s range, right? That's don't.
24 actually with the Soulfire. And sometimes 28 when they're really really lucky, man.
Oh
It's
gosh.
crazy.
Oh man. So do you Twilight Drake here or do you Mountain Giant? You know, we kind of debate this all the
Hmm.
time. Oh,
I think the Twilight Drake's a good first option, just given that it's going to absorb again a lot of spells, and then you can come with a heavy hitter right after. Losing a Molten Giant does suck though for RDU there.
it does, but at least he didn't lose like his taunter. You know, if he lost his taunter, then he'd be in big trouble because the Miracle Rogue, that's their biggest concern. Sure, you can put up a giant, but if for some reason they're able to stall and you have no way to taunt, if they get enough mana, they get the cards, they just run right by your lineman and go straight for the quarterback and knock out the game. You know,
I like the reference, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
for
Okay,
our
all
American.
right, Dark American football. American football.
What is this World Cup business?
I know. Okay, Azure Drake. He could play Azure Drake, get that spell power. He's got prep too, so he could play around with prep and two backstab. So lots of
Huh.
options for him here.
You could clear this Drake. It
Hmm.
is investing a lot of the spells, like, and it's kind of annoying. But he does end up drawing one with the Drake, so he would be using 3 cards to remove, in essence. Kind of
Yep.
annoying, though.
He could get the SI agent down too while removing it.
Yeah, that's actually true. And a better alternative, probably, than using prep.
At least you'll have some kind of ability or just some kind of damage on the board to help with whatever he throws down next here,
Sure.
which looks like it could be that Mountain Giant.
Yeah, the prep just gives you so much more flexibility with Gadget Sand and like a guaranteed way to just start chaining. You also have a backstab, so if anything comes out, you have 2 ways to kind of initiate. And the Drake still gets the guaranteed draw without having too much of a more benefit. You're only getting a 3/3 bite versus 4/4, so I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and this is where, this is pretty good situation for the handlock here where the rogue hasn't drawn the sap, so he's having to literally invest everything into removing the first two big minions, and he doesn't have gadgets in too to really help him cycle back all the cards that he's using right now. He's got the cold blood there too if he wants.
He might use a removal. He also can just backstab and use the shadow step if he wants to be really efficient
Hmm.
and not use the cold blood unless he wants to burst his opponent down. So these are all at his disposal. But then again, you're giving up a shadow step, which is normally 6 damage if you use it on Leroy to push out 2 and give up your ability to burst. So these are all choices and trades that Darkwonyx has to be able to live with as he gets closer and closer to his, but hopefully he gets closer to his Gadget Stand. But so far it feels like it's infinitely far away here, Chan man. Like if you don't
Yeah,
have Gadget Stand, he just
at
doesn't
least a
exist.
couple draws. I mean, even if he was holding Leroy, the decisions would be quite different right here if he had
That's
Leroy
also
in
true.
one shadow step. So because he doesn't have either the Gadgetzan or Leroy here, I think he's just gonna have to go with removing this thing.
Yeah. Oh wow, he's even going with the preparation and
Yeah,
saving the
using
shadow step for the
everything.
burst.
Wow.
And it makes
Oh,
sense.
got
You know,
Leroy.
oh, whoa, oh, you're right. You're right. And you know, he tossed out one of
That's
those mountain
huge.
giants. He lost one of those mountain
Yeah.
giants with that soul fire. So he knows I'm not as afraid to drain my opponent's life, and that is a huge pickup, just like you were saying, Janman.
Oh, and this man, he's got lethal potentially, and he's got RDU even if he had a Mullen Giant at a weird spot at being at 16, so he wouldn't be able to taunt his Mullen Giant anyways.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
And
look
this
at this.
hellfire is not doing
It's
him
gonna
any
kill him.
favors either.
I know. This is potentially gonna be the end for RDE here. Let's see what he can do to stay alive. Uh, can he stay alive?
Well, you know, he wants to clear, but the Shadow Flame doesn't really
He
clear
can't.
anything. It's
Yeah,
the
I don't.
same essentially as the Farseer. You know, and if you're gonna do that, you might as well just Siphon Soul because it accomplishes the same exact thing and it uses more of your
Oh,
mana
yeah.
and you
If he
have
Siphon Soul's a
flexibility to
7/3,
heal.
he'll stay alive. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
if
he'll
he's at
have
19 and
17.
then
Yeah, he'll have
right the
17.
12 damage, unless Darkwonyx draws into like a Sinister Strike, then that would end the game.
Oh gosh, and he has two of them, I believe, in his deck. So lots of chances here. Even a
Oh
poison.
man, okay. So now
Okay.
Darkwonyx might be able to just end the game. Oh no, he does 16 exactly. I misread it. I thought it was 17, and I think that
Oh,
should
it's
just
over
be it.
now because he
Yeah,
took that option
exactly.
with the Siphon Soul.
Yeah.
So Dark Wine is going to take game number one out of nowhere. Leroy takes it.
Yeah,
What
and
the
this is what
heck?
happens. You know, you don't have the ability to control the board as well as you thought. The Miracle Rogue spent the entire hand and just basically had to say, "I really hope you don't have a way to respond or even defend yourself while I go for the potential kill next turn." Dark Wanix took the chance he had to end the game rather than wait for Gadget Stand. He used his prep, used his shiv, just said, "Screw it, this is what I have to do." And he was rewarded, and he takes the game number one. Probably one of his toughest matchups, because I don't think RDU is the kind of play like these aggro paladins and hunters
Yeah, I
that would
agree with
probably
that.
counter the Miracle Rogue.
I don't think I've ever seen him play any of those aggro
Yeah.
decks. Did he play Hunt? Did he
The
play Hunt?
closest, the other counter that he would probably play would be Freeze Mage, but again, that's on the reverse side of things, where you're
Yeah.
playing a super control style
All
and
right.
trying to deny the Miracle Rogue.
All right. He's going to be going with a rogue, so there's going to be a mirror matchup here, and
Van
he's
Cleef and
starting
all
out
the
the
coin. Oh
yeah
man.
on the coin, so we could see some crazy and a backstab too. So we could see a 6/6 Van Cleef here, maybe even bigger.
Oh, with a Phantom Knives, he's just a preparation short now. You really don't
He
want
had
to go
it.
like
He
that all
had
in,
it.
but
He
oh, did he
he
have the
he
prep?
mulliganed it.
Oh, okay. It's you just don't want to go too all
I
in. Like you want to go semi all in on it.
One sap
Um,
just ruins your day, man. When
sure,
you do
sure.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. Meanwhile, on Darkwonyx, he picks up an important card in Azure Drake. It's probably the next best thing for a gadget stand if you don't immediately have something like that. Not only the cantrip, but also just the fact that it's a body. It's something to do rather than just hero powering and passing, which is something you often see sometimes in this mirror matchup.
All right, do you swing here? I know you asked me yesterday whether you swung here, and this is a tricky one too.
Yeah, usually it's really easy if you have something like Deadly Poison and like SI7 in your hand. That way you can just kind of play turn 4 in itself or turn 3 even if you have coin.
Yep.
But now that he doesn't, he's wondering, well, will it make a difference if I just draw into something and I'm going to weapon up anyways next turn? And I think you do hold it. There's a lot of ways you can kind of combo it off, and I don't think that you're gonna like if you're gonna try to play a Van Cleef next turn with like
Hmm.
backstab Van Cleef or something like that, you
Yep.
still don't have room to weapon up with that mana.
Yeah,
So
I'd agree with you. I'd hold it
yeah,
too. Just gives you that
I'd,
that
I'd hold
ability
it
to get the
here.
poison if you draw it.
Ultimately, it might not make a difference, but it sometimes does. In those fringe cases where you win
Mhm.
by 1 or 2 damage.
Yep.
And it's not as simple as it sounds. Like we're just saying our opinion, but RD is also just calculating. What if I pick up a Farseer? What if I pick up an SI7? What do these things kind of do? What if next turn, I pick up something and I just didn't attack and it's irrelevant. I should have attacked. All these kinds of things are going through his head and his percentages and
Is it
you know.
moving? His mouse hasn't moved very much on
Oh
my
yeah, you know
screen.
what? The screen might be frozen and we're
Yeah,
overanalyzing the
I
situation.
know. Is it? Is he actually moving? I just haven't seen his mouse pointer move
Maybe
in a
they're on
while,
like
so that's
turn
just.
5 by now because
I
the
know. We're
screen
like,
hasn't. All he
is
had to
he
do was just
swinging or
pass it.
not? And it's like freaking gadget's hand already down. Well, guys, well, while we're trying to figure this out,
All
all right,
right, welcome
guys.
back, guys. Sorry about that little technical issue. It looks like we're hopping directly on Darkwonyx's POV because I think RDU's stream kind of just basically went down for us.
Yeah, so be patient with us. We'll be moving some things around as we're casting this game, but it looks like we're in turn. Is it 5 or 6? Or turn 6 for RD.
6. Oh man. All right.
All
Well,
right.
did RDU attack or not? He has a fresh weapon.
Oh,
His
actually,
opponent's
this
at
is this
24,
is
so.
Dark Wanix. This is Dark Wanix's side, actually.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, yeah,
So RDU.
yeah. Okay, and
All
we'll
right.
switch it back, guys, once we get things going again. Okay, looks like our SI agent, and I'm trying to remember what Dark Wanix had.
He played as Azure Drake. Remember, we were talking about it's
Oh,
important to
right.
have, but then he got backstabbed with a Drake of
Oh, I can
RDU's
see that.
own, and he was
Yeah, sure.
cleared. Um, and so now RDU has a deadly poison charge. He ends up picking it up. Another backstab. Again, these are really easy
Wow.
clears that you don't have to trade your health. But RDU is not exactly sitting at the best health count. He's gonna have to pick up Farseers because still, if you have a deadly poison charge and triple Leroy Shadow Step, which Dark Wanix is halfway there already, that can end the game very quickly, despite you setting up so much to draw with your gadget stands and go off with all your preps and conceals.
Yeah, looks like he's got a shiv to the face, eviscerate removal if he
Sure.
wants. Gets a blade flurry. Okay, so if he can get a poison and another shadow step, he'll be set up really nicely here to finish the game.
I think Dark Wanix is also contemplating if there's a way to keep this eviscerate and tally it as his damage, because right now he has 12 off the Leroy Shadow Step. and you kind of throw in the Eviscerate there, that's 16.
Oh,
He
true.
can
That's
clear,
true.
he
Just
can
go for
clear
it.
with a backstab
Yeah.
Blade Flurry,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Yeah, he's sitting at 30. Yeah, that's a good point actually. He doesn't have to clear with this eviscerate here. Just go for it.
He won't have the mana to do that. Well, actually, wait, no, he does have preparation and just.
If he draws the
It's
Shadow Step, he's
it's
got it.
tough. It's a tough position.
If he draws another eviscerate too, he's got how many outs does he
Yeah.
have next turn if he goes for it?
Well,
Okay, well,
he's setting himself
Oh.
anyways. If he picks up the Shadow Step, he'll win. But for now, he is going to just play it a little bit safer. No need to kind of let it get way out of control. And
Yeah.
that Drake would just be adding damage. If he doesn't get it, he'll be whiffing and be taking big damage off the backswing.
yeah. RDU could also have some earthen rings in his hand too, and it really throws off his potential finish. Oh, there was the poison. Would he have had it? He would
Let's
have had
see.
it this turn. He would have had the lethal this
I
turn.
think he wouldn't be able to squeeze in all the mana because the Blade Flurry plus the Deadly Poison would have
Oh,
been
he doesn't need
3
the
mana.
if he would have eviscerated the face, he'd have been
Oh,
at
you're
50.
right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
the double
Dude,
lever
I
was
was forgetting the
poison.
Eviscerate.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for him. But again, Darkwonyx still sitting,
He's at
fairly
18 damage.
fairly close to lethal. It's just
That's
really
so
that four
crazy.
off.
He's at 18 damage. And like the best part about it is he could actually
He could just
go for it in a sense and then
yeah
clear it and then put him down to like that little health.
yeah he could just
But
deadly
then,
poison and blade flurry here, right? And
well, I mean, I don't think you want to give away that you have it, so maybe even attacking pat or like, because then if you backstab, you might as well clear it.
well,
Versus if you just
I wouldn't
attack and
backstab.
pass.
I wouldn't backstab.
You,
I would just poison, hit face, blade, and then just a blade flurry and then reblade.
yeah, I think actually I agree with that. I agree with that.
Gives him lethal next turn if he doesn't have an earthen ring or
I mean,
taunt.
if he can, I'm saying like he can use Blade Flurry to clear it immediately, but I think either way, Darkwonyx is setting himself up to lethal. Whether he used Blade Flurry this turn or next turn, it's kind of inconsequential with the preparation. And I think he wants to also be a little bit safer for things like this. If he has like the Farseer come out, that way if he wouldn't whiff, then for some reason he would be able to at least clear the board.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yep, definitely makes sense. So he's got a lot of draws here.
Maybe an Eviscerate?
Oh, is that enough?
Let's see, 12.
He's got the prep too.
12 plus 5 is 17 by my count, Chan, man.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, 17.
That Farseer.
So close. Oh man.
So what you might have to do is Blade Flurry, Weapon Up, Deadly Poison Attack, and then basically, wait, again, it's the same exact thing. He gained 3 health because you did 3 health last turn, and now you just have a new Deadly Poison charge and wait for the opportunity to lethal again next turn.
So sometimes it's just good to take that first chance at it, and because I think if he would have gone for it last turn, he would have lethal again this turn with the
You
deadly
would have put
poison.
him
Draw.
at 1, right? But then he would draw the Deadly Poison, so it doesn't guarantee anything. I think this is the best play. Just again, what we're saying, Deadly Poison attack, reset everything, and now actually his opponent's at lower health though, and now he has a lot even broader range. If he heals again, he still has like Sinister Strike, which can end it. Versus before, it would have fallen just short.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think there is a draw for RDU here to win. He doesn't have a Shadow Step yet. He's got a lot of damage in his hand though.
4. Let's see. Eviscerate plus Leroy is 10. Sinister Strike is 13. 3 from the Deadly Poison, that's 16.
Close. Oh my goodness, it's so close.
If he had like Thanos and Spell Power, that adds 2 damage off the top. That'd be 18. This is assuming he has
19?
infinite mana, by the way. I think he's at infinite mana. That's assuming he had infinite mana. He'd be able to do 18.
Okay, so he actually has a prep too. So a prep can take the place of a eviscerate there, right? So
Yeah.
with the
That's
Thalamus,
great.
that's 5, 4, 15, 19. He has 19.
He might just set it up and
Oh,
do
man.
damage straight to him and say, well, you know what? I'm just going to set myself up so if I draw any form of damage the following turn, I can end the game. But unfortunately for RDU, the game's already been decided by the fact that he couldn't kill him this turn.
Right.
Darkwonyx is sitting on 12 damage just from his hand alone, and the 3 to Deadly Poison. This game looks over to me, Jen, man.
Yeah, it is. It is over. No taunt, no heal. Spells doom for RDU in this game. But RDU is one damage.
One damage short.
I believe, or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't one.
I think if you do the
No, it
Leroy
wasn't.
and then you did
Actually,
have the
no.
Blade Flurry,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it wasn't. Actually, he was too
I think you were
short for
right.
it. Yeah.
Either way, Darkwonyx takes game two, and now RDU, the DreamHack champion, just as quickly as he got here to the
Yeah.
winners bracket finals, might be ushered down unceremoniously to losers bracket.
Yeah. So who's he going to face? He's going to be facing the winner of Show and Tides, which I believe we'll be casting next year. Just it makes the most
Sure.
sense.
But we do have one more game
Oh, one more
to
game. Yes,
see.
one more
Yeah,
game.
we have one more
Just
game to
easier.
see what happens. But I think that was RDU's best chance. You go Miracle Rogue for the coin flip if you feel
Hmm.
like really confident. RDU actually even said before DreamHack he practiced the mirror matchup at least 300 times. I think maybe even more. But he said him and
Yeah,
Daniel,
that's right.
C10 14, like they practice hundreds and hundreds of mirror matchup games, and he really, really knows his matchup. And if he has Druid as his last pick, I can understand why, because sometimes Druids really can't do anything to Rogues if they don't have the burst.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so let's hop into game three with Darkwonyx and RDU.
Okay.
Chan, man,
Yep.
what does RDU need to do to win here?
Well, RDU, man, Darkwonyx starting with a Gadgetzan is going to be pretty rough, but I think RDU is going to have to really get started with a lot of minions on the board, kind of absorb as much of the damage from those spells like Eviscerate and even Shiv. Any little bit of damage you can absorb in the form of minions on the board is going to, help with staying alive against the burst of the Miracle Rogue towards the end. But man, Darkwonyx starting with the Gadgetzan and a Leroy already, and Sap is a huge, also another huge card in this matchup. Given that the Druid always throws down these big minions towards the end, so sapping it really just negates those turns for 2 mana, which is pretty brutal for the Druid.
Darkwonyx does have Innervate, though, and what you can do with
Yeah,
this
he
after this
does.
Loot
True.
Hoarder is Innervate out the Druid of the Claw, and then the
Mhm.
following turn coin out the Azure Drake. And
I'm
it just
surprised you didn't do that there. What do you think about?
No, I like this right here because next turn on turn three you innervate a five
Oh, I
drop, and
see
the
what you're
next turn you
saying.
coin out
Okay.
the five drop,
Yeah.
rather than going for the five drop immediately and then kind of having an awkward mana placement for 2 turns.
Yeah.
So
Good
I
point.
think this is just the more guaranteed. Now that you have two Druid Claws, I would actually wouldn't mind just pushing it out now and getting the 4 damage in. But I guess this is also Eviscerate bait with the Azure Drake, so that
Mhm.
way he's
Right.
gonna have a harder time to deal with the Druid Claw later.
Yeah, getting those charge units or protecting those charge units to a degree is really good. Can maximize the damage. And I think luckily for RDU, he doesn't have the best answer for this. I mean, he
Yeah,
doesn't
where's
want to
his
use a sap on
backstabs?
this. He doesn't want.
SI7s.
Yeah, he could. He doesn't have
Hmm.
SS7s yet. Yeah, and sapping an
No.
Azure Drake is not usually what you want to do.
Not this early, at least. If
Hmm.
it's 5 mana, that's really important. That sets up a potential Force of Nature play on like turn 9. Then yeah, like, that's not even that bad of a target. But in this scenario, it's like this early on, you sap it. He's still on coin. He's gonna coin out another 5 drop. You're not even sure if that's the same 5 drop he'll coin out. Meanwhile, Darkwonyx is like super happy because that essentially means he has nothing to do this turn. And that should give him a little bit more confidence about playing. Maybe even the Druid Claw and taking the 4 damage. He couldn't deal with 4 health minion last
Okay.
turn. Why can he do it this turn?
Yeah, and that's what he's
Yeah, I
going to
would.
do. Want to charge up this bad boy here?
Oh
Oh no?
no, he's gonna play in the Adder Drake again.
Oh, he's
So
going to play it
I don't
again.
think that's I don't think it's bad. I would have personally felt like
I would have too.
confident because it's like how can he deal with this again?
I agree. And getting that pressure, that's a big thing, right? You got to get pressure on the Miracle Rogue, or else, he's just drawing into whatever he wants. He kind of rounding into this Gadgetzan turn. Thankfully, he doesn't have the conceal for RDU, but
It's a stylistic choice, to be honest. Dark Monarchs also wants to dig for his combos. The fact that didn't have the combo piece yet is sort of like Druid saying, "Well, I actually don't have a direct way I can win, or I guarantee a win."
Mhm.
And even if I'm just sacrificing damage right now, because again, if he went with our line with going Druid of the Claw twice, he would be at 20 health, but he'd be 2 cards shorter, which means it doesn't give him the guarantee of being able to finish him off, assuming he never drew to Savage Roar. Or
Right.
even cards like he might even pick up an Innervate later on that helps him play it 2 turns earlier. So I think Dark Monarchs is just going for the more overall general approach, big macro decisions rather than going for these individual how can I sneak in damage here and there
Mhm.
plays.
RDU's looking pretty good though. He's got those charged druids, for consecutive turns. He's got 2 Force of Natures with the Savage Roar combo already. So we're looking at Oh my gosh, he's got 2 combos already. So if he can just get to turn 9, he's gonna have the ability to do, 14 back to back if he wants.
Oh my god, yeah, man. I've been
This.
casting Darkwonyx as if he was the druid, and you didn't stop me. I forgot.
Oh, I
We,
thought
I
it wasn't.
forgot we
Yeah,
switched
we
POVs because
switched.
we
Yeah,
were
I
the previous
wasn't.
game we were casting Darkwonyx as a top player, and I was like, oh man, he is doing this. I apologize.
It's all good. But look, well, Dark One just drew another Shadow Step, so we're
Mistakes
about to
were
see.
made, Chan, man.
We're actually about to see a lot of fireworks here.
Okay, okay.
It's going to be a race. It's just who can get each other
It
just
very
in
well
range of their
might be.
combos. Look at this.
Double
It's
combos.
crazy.
Double combos. And with double combos, you can be more liberal. You can use Force of Nature to remove. Say he doesn't conceal, you can use it as partial
Oh
removal,
wow!
put some pressure back.
Look at those draws from Darkwonyx. Lots of damage. He's got the 22 combo. Whenever if he can get to 9, so who can get? Oh, he's got the innervate now. RDU does.
Hmm. And if you see this, and you know you can innervate combo next turn, I
Oh, that's. I think you got to get rid of the
I
gadgets,
feel
man.
like you can try to set up a lethal here for the next turn.
You
If
got to
you
get rid
just
of the
kind of
gadgets, man, though.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And that's why we're saying you can use Force
Okay.
of Nature as removal. But I think if
Okay.
you do 6 damage here and the Azure Drake stays alive, that's lethal next turn. And
Yeah.
so Darkwonyx, he has to be careful. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter unless he draws something, but he can't because he can't even play the Farseer.
Oh, let's
He has
take
to
a
kill
look.
this Azure Drake now. That's like the biggest
Yeah, he
priority.
can
Does it
he can
take
get rid of it. He's got poison. He's got poison into the agent into Blade Flurry.
Yeah, but then you have to just that's expending a lot of resources, and it's about reading the situation. Normally, if you're the rogue player, you say turn
True.
7. Well, he has to have
Yeah,
innervate combo. What are the chances he has that?
that's true.
So
That's a good
yeah,
point.
so Darkwonyx
Oh,
has to recognize that he's in danger of dying next turn, and then he
yeah,
has to make the play of killing the Azure Drake without touching it. So you're right, Champion. That is the right play, but he needs to recognize it first. If
so
he plays Gadget Sand
actually,
and goes off.
I think so. If he poisons, swings, Blade Flurries, agents, he has enough. I think he has enough mana to re-dagger, which does give him lethal next turn. Potentially, like well,
That
if
also might
unless
be
he
the
hero powers. If
case.
he hero powers, he'll miss it. But he also has an
Maybe
option
maybe
of
a
ancient.
prep though. Maybe something like a prep also might help Darkwonyx
Oh,
with something like that. So I think he does sniff it. He sniffs that he might be in danger, and Darkwonyx is making an excellent read right now on his opponent.
yeah, he is. Better hurry though.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't have enough mana to redagger. By the way, I think if he uses.
oh, you're
Oh.
right. He's one short. No.
Oh
Oh
man.
no! And he's gonna. That's
Oh,
gonna
he
cost
went
the
he
game
went
right there.
90% of the way of sniffing it out, and it turns out he actually didn't. We
He's one
thought
short.
he would, but
Yeah,
wait,
but
wait,
this
wait.
is gonna cost him the game here. Oh,
Okay, okay. I thought he played the Druid Claw because the cards were moving,
yeah,
but
that's
he
what
ended up
looked
getting
it seemed to
it.
me.
Yeah.
All right, so RDU, man, again, fireworks here, innervates the combo on turn 7. Dark Onyx completely surprised by that, and you can't blame him. Man. You're not expecting your opponent to have innervate or just be able to do the combo on turn 7 many times.
Right. It is a low percentage, but at
Mhm.
the same time, it does exist, and Darkwonyx didn't play around it.
The finale of our tournament, our 3-day tournament here. Let's see what Dark Onyx shoots us here for game 4.
Yeah, I would have to imagine he busts out his hand lock. Oh, well, there we go. See on the screen. It was trusted and tried and true for day number 1, where he played pretty well with it overall and even swept Trump 3-0. Now let's see if he's able to pay off against traditionally what is a good matchup for Handlock. Druids, if they can't deal with the Twilight Drakes with Keeper of the Grove, or they can't get the BGH for the Mountain Giants, then the games can end really early. I know because this is exactly what happened to me because I was laddering earlier today, Jam Man, as
Yeah.
a Druid, and back-to-back games, I had the wrong answers to the threats. I had Keeper of the Grove to the Mountain Giant, and I had BGH to Twilight Drake. It
Oh
felt
man,
so sad.
I know that feeling. It's rough times when that happens. Those giants are such druid killers if you can't answer them immediately.
Yep.
Okay, so
With
RDU starts out with an innervate. Nice start for him. He can actually get this. Oh,
Ooh,
well,
he does have a keeper, and
yeah, he does
that's
have
a
a keeper.
big pickup versus the Twilight Drake Chan,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. It didn't. He decided not to innervate the harvest column to turn 1. Would you
You
have
know,
innovated the harvest or
I don't because I think now that you have Ancient of Lore and
Mhm.
assuming and let's just say hypothetically you're able to set up this Harvest Golem and then the Twilight Drake comes out and you silence it on turn 5, you Ancient of Lore and then you have a 2/1, a 2/4 and a 5/5 with
Yeah.
reloaded ammo. That is extremely imposing because if the opponent can't do anything, then there's times where sometimes you just Savage Roar off of what you have on the board and kill the hand lock. So
Yeah,
you have
good
to be
point.
very, very cautious with how you approach it.
All right, Azure Strike on the board. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a very good start there for RDU. Anything, even if he throws out the Twilight Drake, he'll be able to at least
Yeah.
take off half the damage there and help with removing it. But he's got a Keeper of the Grove there sitting there, which doesn't line
Something,
up perfectly because he doesn't have the ability to remove it immediately after silencing it. So Darkwonyx
yeah.
could still get value from the Twilight Drake regardless.
RDU is playing ahead of the curve and predicting his opponent's going to Mountain Giant. And that's why you put out the Drake, so that way you can use something like
Cancel. Yeah.
the Wrath. But, now that doesn't have it, and he said didn't go the Harvest Golem route, he can't exactly efficiently remove it on this turn, and he also burned his Innervate, which means he can't put out something like Heap with like the Ancient of Lore. So Darkwonyx ends up having a really stable board, despite the fact that RDU has the perfect answer. And he might have to silence it right now, but unfortunately, that still gives the Drake value because immediately
Yep.
he can respond to something.
Well, he can just trade with the Keeper and get at least a trade 1 for 1 with it. Let's see. So
Yeah.
Dark One draws here faceless. That doesn't really help him. Does give him the potential, at least part of the combo later on in the game.
Yeah, I like tapping here. There's no real threat from Druid. You just play the Watcher as well. It just gives you something to do. And you just want to dig deeper through your deck. You don't know if there's opportunities later in the game to tap,
Yeah,
because again, it gets scarier that you get closer to the combo. So I feel like tapping now is fine.
yeah. I gotta draw some of those giants too. Those are the problematic cards for this Druid deck, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. Gonna trade with the 2/4. I would imagine. Otherwise, he leaves it there for a potential Wrath or even a Hero
Hero
Power.
power, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
either one.
You know, he also could be thinking that with Leroy already in hand and a faceless, he has damage. So every ounce that he gets, or every inch that he gets closer to that dreaded 20 to 24 range with maybe a Soulfire, then he can end the game. But that is so far long-term planning. That's that's 5 turns from now with the power overwhelming. So Dark Waters is just saying, you know what? Rather than like
Yeah.
YOLOing and saying I want to just get to that goal, just stabilize, take the easy trade, and move on.
Yeah, this matchup's changed so much over time because the handlock used to be a little bit more comfortable just tapping and bringing their health down, but these days it's like we're actually bringing it down into the mid-teens so that you can get that Mullen Giant down and then kind of heal up with your Earthwind and Fire Seers and your Siphons. But these days with the Druids and their explosiveness with the
Yeah,
combo and the double Savage Roar or even just the double combo, you have to start worrying about even at 20, which makes it harder to play that Mullen Giant.
yeah, and once upon a time, it used to be about like stalling out the mid-range druid that used a
Yep.
lot of mid-game threats with their yetis and whatnot, and they used to play ancient watchers, and then you beat them out with like stalling with like Alex Straza and Jiraxis. But now the game has sped up so much that Handlock has dropped these late game threats, improved their mid game a little bit more with burst combo, and now it's all about being able to end the game in surprise fashion, or if your opponent it gives you a lot of time to set up. You're able to just end the game.
Mhm. Okay, so this is all right. This is not the best situation for Dark One. I think he's trying to look at a way to clear the board as much as possible. Harvest Golem obviously is going to be sticky here, but he does have Hellfire. He does have Shadow Flame too if he wants to use it.
Yeah, he already saw one Keeper of the Grove, and that might push him to just play the Twilight Drake straight up with lots of health. But
Okay,
again,
that's true too.
if he does take that Keeper of the Grove option, if he does have number 2, then again he loses a big threat for virtually nothing. Then Argent Squire is going to trade.
Yeah, that's true. And not only that, he puts himself into combo range. I mean, or at least close, very, very close to combo range. Let's see if he does that. Oh, here we go. He's going to go ahead and Hellfire, just clear it up a little bit, and really slow the game down a little bit. It's kind of what you want to do at times when you're a Warlock. Get into that. You want to get to 10 mana so that you have that ability to burst at the end.
Most definitely, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so
Okay.
double swipe. He's got
He has
wow,
double
lots of
swipe. He's got combo. So he's got 22 damage existing from his hand. Actually, 28 if you count the force of second force of nature. You even count the charge version. So by all means, if RDU had infinite mana, he can kill it. How does he space it out over the course of 2 turns to guarantee a kill, assuming his
yeah.
opponent can't respond to it?
So I think ideally for RDU, he wants to save those swipes to use after like the big taunts come up. So like lead with the
Yes.
combo, take him all the way down to single digit health, hopefully under 8, and then just finish him with the swipes. But yeah, he's gonna have to try to figure out how to do that. He's got some pretty good 5 drops there, so to really set it up.
Yeah.
But Darkwonyx here trying to kind of a tough decision for him. He's got to figure out does he want to taunt here, but he doesn't. All he could do was taunt an Earthen Ring. So I think this is a good decision. Throw down the Drake, throw down, get some heal in here, and hopefully you'll be able to taunt 2 minions here. Maybe even get some Molten Giants out there.
Now, for RDU, again, he has the combo next turn. This turn, he could actually spend his turn removing if he so
Yeah, I don't
desires.
think that's a bad idea. He's got a Power of the Wild too that could actually help with removing.
Yeah, and you don't want to get too fancy with removing and getting your opponent low, because then that puts up Molten Giant and Taunt range, which actually pushes you farther away from it. So the trick here for this turn for RDU is to somehow deal with this board and threaten the potential of combo lethal next turn as well.
Yeah, so let's
How
look
do
at
you?
the options. Let's look at some of the things that he can do. He can go Force the Nature and buff those tree ants to 3/3s, and then figure
Yeah, that
out a
actually might be the
way.
best.
If he brings it down, if he brings his health down to 7, then or 17, then he wouldn't be able to taunt a Molten Giant. But okay, so he's gonna go with the actual Druid of the Claw instead.
Okay. I mean,
Oh, okay, he's gonna buff
oh,
these guys up.
he's just gonna go for it? He's just gonna attack 6 into it? Okay, I
Yeah,
like it.
okay, okay, yeah,
RD is the same kind of philosophy. It's like
yeah.
at best he can put up one of these molten giants unless
Oh,
he's
that's a good draw. That was,
yeah.
I mean, he forced him to have a Sun Fury Protector, which he did not have, and now he just drew it. So he'll be able to taunt up both of these guys.
Yeah, and what's kind of annoying is his opponent has or what's really annoying is Darkwonyx feels like, man, I'd rather have the ability to kind of set it up, but he might have to use one of these beak creatures. He might have to Shadow Flame this Drake instead.
Hmm.
He might have to attack into the 6/6, Shadow Flame it, rather than using it again, getting close to the burst. Because remember, don't forget that Darkwonyx, he could get really close to killing his opponent in 2 turns if he
If
has the power overwhelming.
if he makes that play, if he Shadow Flames here, I think he loses the game. I think it's pretty clear he loses the game in 2 turns. Um, I don't think he can prevent it. I don't think he can take him down 26 unless he draws. No, I don't think he can take him down from 26.
Well, then what if he's playing Alex Strauss? We've been seeing some
Okay.
hand locks still included.
Okay, well, okay. If
Some
he's playing Alex Straza, then yeah, okay, he still has a
sure.
chance. But
He might. I mean, he could shadow. I think he does Shadow Flame this turn. I guess, but he's going to use Leroy instead. And if he does lose that burst win condition. But at least this way, he still has something
okay,
on the board.
okay, nice. Okay, okay. Actually, yeah, you're right. He's
Yeah, he does end up going with that play.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, does he have a draw that he can get? So no burst from Leroy. Does he have any kind of draw that he can get 16 here? Let's see. Power overwhelming.
I think his concern is just that,
Yeah,
as RDU,
I
by
don't
the
know.
way, is just going to use combo because he does have that double swipe, like you mentioned, and it's
Yep.
a way to kind of get your opponent low. I think he's just saying, well, I have to kind of keep pressuring my opponent. I don't want to lose board. If he plays like Ancient of Lore, I'm back in the same spot. If he plays the second Ancient of Lore, he's back in the same spot. So Darkwonyx says, I'd just rather be able to constantly reverse pressure, but unfortunately, he doesn't pick up a way to boost up his health, and
Yep.
these swipes are going to win the game for RDU because it's able to bypass the taunts despite it being one of the most intimidating boards, because this Faces is going to come out and try to rock RDU's world, but
Look
it's
at
not
how
going to be
many.
able to do anything here.
He could face us that too and get 3 giants, three huge taunts
Exactly.
there. But just one swipe's needed here, and RDU's going to actually tie up this series. 2-2, and the winner here advances to the grand finals. So there's a lot on the line here, and it's going to go into game number 5. It's going to be good stuff.
Wow, second combo again from RDU. Not that even really mattered, but the fact is that he has it. So the series looked like it was going to end very quickly, but RDU is able to take 2 games against, well, matchups I would kind of say Druid isn't exactly favored. It's even at best, So I think RDU is able to pull it back, and now Darkwonyx has to rely on his last deck.
And let's see what his last deck is. Let's see, yesterday or the day before he was running a warrior, and I think yesterday he ran something else. Oh, it looks like he is going to break out the warrior. All right, and this is classic Darkwonyx style. Darkwonyx loves control decks, especially the type of control decks that have those huge legendary minions like Alex Strauss Baron Geddon and Ragnaros, and that's what we see in this type of control warrior.
Yeah, and Darkwonyx has to be feeling a little bit nervous, because
Mhm.
again, Warriors they can struggle against Druid, especially if they innervate out something early and they whack away the armor. You don't have the executes. All of a sudden, you're losing 12, 16 health before you're able to kind of stabilize, and you have
Yeah,
to kind of work your armor from verse there. They just burst you down. So
yeah.
Darkwonyx has to be very, very cautious with how he approaches this game. He needs to optimize efficiency and be able to deal with any threats that come out.
Yeah, Darkwonyx has a decent start. He's got the Taskmaster and he's got the Armor Smith, but RDU also has some really nice answers to those cards, as well as an Innervate and a Keeper of the Grove. So he can answer those cards pretty well, and the Warrior's going to want to get that early pressure on them too. Kind of goes as in stages with the Warrior. That first stage you want to get those small minions out there, pressure the Druid, and then kind of round yourself into the late game where you have these crazy huge minions that you can throw on the board.
Right off the bat, Darkwonyx is confronted with an issue. Do you want to coin out this armor smith? And well, I don't know. What do you think, Jam? And you've been seeing a
Hmm.
lot of Warrior and being able to play with it with Kit Kats. What do you think?
I I mean, I think I typically would have coined that, but I wonder what he's afraid of. I guess,
It doesn't necessarily have to be afraid, but rather he might be
or
wanting to
just
save the coin for an alternative use.
yeah, because now he just loses this to a well, he doesn't really lose it, but I mean, if he had it, yeah, there you go. Like a Harvest Column is actually a pretty good answer.
Hey, mix up a Fire War, actually. I think that'd be nice. Huh?
Yeah,
Well,
actually, a Fire War actually
Acolyte.
be great.
Okay, so, not too bad. Darkwonyx does end up picking up a way to kind of fill out his curve.
Yeah,
Oh, is he contemplating trying to take out this Harvest Golem and try to buff up this Armor Smith? Because he could finish it with a Whirlwind as well. Then you don't use the Whirlwind on your Acolyte. Again, how much do you care about that? Because you're able to control the board without without giving your opponent ability to kind of leverage it. Because that's exactly what this Druid deck
yeah,
does, right? Shaman always uses Power of the Wild and
yeah.
stuff
You're
like
right,
that.
and it's like these turns right now, like for the Warrior, are these are the these are the type of
Yeah.
plays that were super experienced players in the Warriors will sometimes do things completely different, like hit cats. And like this particular case, a lot of times I would whirlwind here and just to get that card draw and the armor, but I know a lot of times Kit Kats won't do that sort of bit. He'll taskmaster the armor smith at times and just kind of pressure the druid a little bit more. And because this is more
Exactly.
of a passive approach here, right? And yeah, you're gonna get max value from the armor smith and the acolyte potentially with the card draw and the armor. But
Mhm.
what are you gonna do with that armor right now? It's just basically life gain for you at this point, and it's good to be active on the board early on in this matchup.
The hardest decisions in these early games is whether or not you want to spend any kind of removal on Harvest Golems because it just feels like it's so pitiful, right? That they
Yeah,
have a death rattle. More oftentimes, you have to spend way more damage and overkill it than you need to. And
yeah,
so
he
I
could have
think
just
Dark Lion
attacked
said,
it. Yeah,
yeah, like rather than just spending everything here and trying to remove a Harvest Golem, he went for the Acolyte. But unfortunately, it gets silenced,
yeah,
and that stings. You want to be able to draw a card or two and be able to play something off of it. But now he can. At
yeah,
best,
and
he's going to use it
that's
to buff and kill something.
And that's the problem with that play too, is because you're really setting up the next play with the whirlwind, and now that's those plans are a bit, or at least half of the value from that play is gone now, and he even has another Keeper of the Grove in his hand too. So this is going to be potentially bad, just a bad start for Darkwonyx. He'll get a lot of armor though, so hopefully he can draw into a Shield Slam, maybe set up a situation for him to remove a turn 5 play by RDU like a Druid of the Claw or something like that. But
Sure. And just again, he's playing as clean, efficiently as possible to maximize his armor because he
mhm,
realizes this is a burst deck. At one
Oh,
there is a limited amount of damage if you can deal with some of their threats. Because again, the burst at one point they just run out of combo pieces.
all right. Rat's gonna draw a card here. He does draw a Violet Teacher, which is gonna be nice with the Innervate
Yeah.
and potentially the Power of the Wild too. So this should be a pretty good turn 6 for RDU coming up here. And Darkwonyx, what's he looking at this turn?
Maybe like
Sylvanas.
yeah, if you Sylvanas, I guess it's like asking you to trade everything into it and go for the board clear and leave the damage golem. Same time, it's like Whirlwind BGH. The BGH just dies to the damage golem as well. So like both of these options
Yeah,
don't feel that great. But I think Sylvanas is the better one because BGH just gets zero return value, in my opinion.
agreed. I mean, there is an option just to not do anything here, but doesn't look like a great thing. He doesn't have anything to really follow it up to get in more value from the Whirlwind or something like that.
Sure.
That's an option. If you think he's got a turn 6 play, if it was turn 7, it might be worth just waiting and then getting full value from Whirlwind execute. But turn 6 is a little bit more awkward. A lot of folks aren't running Karen these
Yeah.
days, so
But unfortunately, RU does have the Keeper of the Grove to silence it again. And then, it allows him
jeez.
to kind of answer this Sylvanas immediately. That's just devastating. Again, he has the perfect answer to what Darkwonyx has.
He does, but okay, so you keep her here. I wonder, what do you think about keeping her like next turn after you play like the Violet Teacher and stuff? Actually, he's
Oh
just
no,
gonna draw a card
I
now. He's
feel
just gonna
like if
trade her.
you
Yeah,
yeah
he's just gonna
if
trade
you
her.
leave up Sylvanas,
Yeah.
the problem is he might faceless it, and now you have two. Now it's like a
Oh, that's
guaranteed
true.
board clear, and then you're gonna be like in big trouble. So as much as it was a viable play, if you want to just be greedy and like build up the board with Violent Teachers and Power of the Wilds,
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of deal with Sylvanas. It's like a gadget in a way. You allow it too much room to take over the game or take over the
Yeah.
board, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, that second Power of the Wild made it a really easy choice too. So because he could clear the Sylvanas right after he silenced it too, which is really
Sure.
nice. Uh, okay, so Dark Wannings, he's kind of gotten through that first phase as as unoptimal as it was for him,
Hmm.
and he's still got the combo with the Gromish and the Taskmaster
Oh
to kind of
my
bang too.
goodness. Oh my goodness, the
God,
big
watch
turn coming
this
out.
turn's gonna be sick, dude.
It's gonna be disgusting, and what's the best part about it for RDU fans is that he has a great way to follow it up with Ancient of Lore to just refill his hand and be able to innervate something immediately into like a Wrath or something to deal with stuff. Darkwonyx doesn't have something like Shield Slam to even get any
No,
benefit off of his previous turn. So this is a bad situation for Darkwonyx.
that's an understatement, man. He has no play this turn.
He has
He's
BGH
up.
armor up and pass. That's all I see here. But I mean, at least at this point, what are you saving BGH for? That you realize your opponent doesn't have any 7 attack minion. The only way you can do is to buff it. He just uses second power of the wild.
I know.
Unless you're
I mean,
yeah.
sometimes you can use the Cruel Taskmaster to buff up like an Ancient of Lore and remove it,
Ah, you're right
but
about that.
he doesn't have that option right now, unfortunately. So I'm not even sure it's worth throwing away your BGH 422. It's just
Okay, you're right. You're right about that. I forgot about that
yeah. I
combo.
think it looks like he's going to do it though.
Well, I think he assumed on turn 7 he did have an Ancient of Lore turn, and normally it's just natural to do it, and actually because of that it works in the opposite favor for him. Dark Monarchs now is going to definitely hope he draws into a brawl, and RDU is going to play this Ancient of Lore, and now he also picks up a BGH as well, which is a great way to respond to any threat that Dark Monarchs puts out. So RDU again having every
And
single tool at his disposal to answer whatever Dark Monarchs can put out.
yeah, right now the Brawl is like the only thing he can draw. Like he's got no armor anymore. He's got a little bit lucky. He hasn't drawn more Shield Slams and his second Execute at this point. But right now
Right?
there's just too many minions, too
Oh
many
man.
mid-range unions.
Dark
Yola
Wise is thinking,
Rax just
oh my god.
Yola Rax is gonna
He
get
can,
removed, man.
if he has combo, the only way they can settle this, Dark Wanax needs to hit like that 5-5 or 4-6. His opponent has to not have the combo. He hits the
Oh,
Nation 4.
nice.
Okay.
Okay, at least he got the, he
That's our new top.
maximized.
He draws the combo! Is that
Oh,
enough?
this is over.
Is that
Is this
enough?
over?
Let's see.
9,
7, 9
16.
plus
Yeah, that's
6.
30. It's exactly 30.
That is 30. Are you kidding me?
Are
you kidding?
you kidding?
That is ridiculous. RDU has won
Gosh.
this game. He was down 0-2 to the Miracle Rogues, but now he even has the perfect slots of minions and damage to kill him. OTK style, 30 damage to the face.
30 damage from the druid. You gotta love
Wow. You talk about fireworks, Chan, man.
that.
July 4th
Seriously.
came early.
Sparkly fireworks. Look at that. Look at that board. Oh wait.
Darkwonyx
There we go.
shaking his head, wondering where it all went wrong. And, RDU, you got to give the props to him because he held on and, he wasn't exactly